Hey guys, for number 25, we're going to solve the equation by factoring. We're going to go over three different methods of factoring. There's a array of different kinds of methods you can use, but we're just going to go over three different methods that I personally really like, and you can choose whichever method you like as long as you get the right answer. Of course, if the question itself tells you to do it a specific way, then go ahead and do it that way, but here it's open to interpretation, so we can choose whichever way we like. So we're going to go over three different methods. The AC method or the grouping method, the trial and error method, and the Berry method. First and foremost, in the AC method, we're going to start off by writing down our equation. Now we have to figure out how to get this 3 term into a 4 term. That way we can use grouping. So in order to do that, we're going to take our A and our C, which by the way comes from the form it's in, which is ax squared plus bx plus c. So in this case, our A is 3, our B is -4, and our C is -7. So our A times our C, which is 3 times -7, is -21. So we're going to look for two factors that multiply to make -21, but that also add to make the B term, which is -4 in this case. So we're going to look at the factors of -21. Looks like we have 1 and -21, and then we have 3 and -7, and then we have the factors where the negative sign goes the other way, so -1 and +21, and -3 and +7. So we're going to choose the factors that also add up to make -4, and it looks like that's going to be the 3 and the -7. So now we're going to plug in these terms instead of the b term here. So let's rewrite our equation. Let's bring down the 3x squared. And then instead of writing -4x, we're going to write +3x and -7x. And then we're going to bring down our -7 and of course our equals 0. Now we have 4 terms and we can go ahead and use the grouping method. So we're going to take the GCF out of the first 2 terms, which is 3x, leaving us with just x here, and then +1. And then we're going to take the GCF out of the second 2 terms. It's going to be -7, leaving us with x plus 1. And then we're just going to bring down r equals 0. Now we're going to take the GCF out of this entire expression, which is going to be the x plus 1 because that's the factor that's in this term and in this term as well. And that's leaving us with 3x minus 7, and then we're bringing down our equals 0 still. So now we have all the factors set equal to 0, so we're going to use the zero product property, which says that you can just go ahead now and split up each factor and set it equal to 0 and solve for x. So over here, x is going to equal -1, and over here, there's a little bit more work that we have to do. And it looks like x equals -1 and x equals 7/3. Secondly, for the trial and error method, which is also very closely related to the AC method, we're going to start off by writing our equation as well. So 3x squared minus 4x minus 7 equals 0. And then we're going to look at factors of 3 and factors of -7. So factors of the A and factors of the C. So here we have 3 and 1, and here for -7, we have 1 and -7 and -1 and +7. So if we have a trinomial and it can be factorable, it will always factor into 2 binomials. And so we're going to plug in first our 3x and our 1x. So we're just testing this out to see if these factors work. So first we're testing out the 3 and the 1 in that consecutive order, and then let's go ahead and try the 1 and the -7. So we're going to plug in +1 and -7. Now in order to see if this works, you multiply these two together, so the 1 and the 1x giving us just 1x, and then the 3x and the -7 giving us -21x. So when we add these together, we get -20x, and since that is different than what we have here, then this does not work. Let's try -1 and +7. So multiplying these two terms gives us -1x, and multiplying these two terms gives us 21x. Looks like that doesn't work as well because when we add those together, we get 20x, which is not the same thing as what we have here. So let's try switching our first two terms up. So instead of the 3 first and then the 1, let's go ahead and write the 1 first and then the 3. And let's try the 1 and the -7. So let's plug in our +1 and our -7. Let's multiply these two, giving us 3x, and multiply these two, giving us -7x. And it looks like when we add those two together, we get -4x, which is exactly what we have here, which means we have the correct terms. So now that we know that we have the correct factors for the expression, we can go ahead and set it back equal to 0. So we'll have x plus 1 over here and 3x minus 7 over here set equal to 0. And now we're going to use the zero product property rule that states that if you have all the factors set equal to 0, you can set each factor equal to 0. So we're going to write x plus 1 equals 0 and 3x minus 7 equals 0. Here we're going to have x equals -1. And here we're going to go ahead and simplify that even further. And it looks like x equals 7 over 3. All right, so last but not least, we're going to try the Berry method. So we're going to go ahead and write down our equation, 3x squared minus 4x minus 7 equals 0. Okay, so before we get started, I do want to emphasize that the Berry method consists of a bunch of tricks that aren't necessarily legal in math, but they will end up with the right answer. So, disclaimer. First thing we're going to do is we're going to multiply our 3 and our 7. Notice I said 7 and not -7. So just 3 times 7, which is 21. And then we're going to look at factors of 21. So factors of 21 are 1 and 21 and 3 and 7. Okay? Now because this over here is a negative, because the c term is a negative, we're looking for the factors of 21 that have a difference of 4. Not -4, just 4. So we're looking for factors of 21 that have a difference of 4. And that is going to be the 3 and the 7. When we write our bubbles, or our parentheses, we're going to split this 3x squared into 3x and 3x. By the way, this is one of the tricks that doesn't really make sense, but it'll get you the right answer at the end. So we're going to split the leading term coefficient into 3x and 3x. And then from the factors that we chose, we're going to choose the highest value to go first. So 7 there. And then the other term is going to go here in the second parentheses. Now, because this is a negative over here, we're going to bring that down. And then we're going to ask ourselves, what does this sign have to be multiplied to create the sign over here? So in other words, a negative times what will give me another negative? Well, it's going to be a positive, because a negative times a positive gives me another negative. Now, last but not least, we are going to factor out any GCFs and throw them away in the trash. So over here, we don't have a GCF, so we're just going to bring down 3x minus 7. Over here, we have a GCF of 3. So we can actually take out a 3, leaving us with x plus 1. And then that GCF we're literally just going to throw away. That's another trick in the Berry method that doesn't really make sense, but it'll lead you to the right answer. So the factors that we have now are 3x minus 7 and x plus 1. And then we're going to bring down our equals 0. And now we're going to use the zero product property rule that states if you have all the factors set equal to 0, you can set each factor equal to 0. Oops, just one. So over here, we're going to add 7 to both sides, leaving us with 3x equals 7, divide by 3, divide by 3. X is going to equal 7 over 3. And then over here, x is just going to equal -1. And that is 3 different ways you can get the same answer using 3 different factoring methods.